Welcome to today of NFTs with Doing Good HQ, and I'm Aaron Jack. So thank you for joining. We're going to be on today with Alison Bamcat. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. So Alison will be on here in 1 second. We are just going to send this out to all the people in our lives that love illustration, that love art, that love NFTs, who would just like to be here today to hear what's going on in the here and now. That's why we are here. We're here to discover what it is to be together and have a conversation. So, once again, I'm Aaron Jack at Aaron Jack Line Art, and we are going to bring on all the way from sunny LA. And I'm here in Berlin. It's a little late at night. Welcome.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Oh, no pun
So,
intended.
yeah. Right. But like slightly doing good HQ. Thank you
Yeah.
for making this possible. So tell me, what is here and now?
Here and now.
Here and now.
I know here and now in Latin is hic et nunc, but I only know that because of the NFT community. Um, Here and now for me is I am locked down in my studio. I have 12 paintings that I need to finish before the 29th. And then I'm going to Miami Art Week on the 30th, and I'm painting 3 walls in Miami. So it is go time for sure.
Wow. So how do you normally deal with this kind of thing when it's go time?
Go time, honestly, it's kind of refreshing from the rest of my workload, which is a lot of communicating and juggling meetings and answering emails and being present with other people, attending events, painting outside, doing like labor contract work. When I get the opportunity to just sit and work in my studio, it's like very, very zen. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and painting kind of is the easiest thing to do. Um, so I honestly consider it like the most relaxing thing to know that I have to stay inside for 10 more days and do nothing but paint. I love it.
Wow. That's pretty exciting to be doing exactly what you want to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you told even me from 5 years ago that I would be living the way that I am right now, I would have lost my mind. I would have been so excited because you never know what's coming around the corner, but you know where you've been. So there's so much exciting stuff going on right now. I'm pumped.
Wow. So what are all the things that are exciting to you? Because it's
To start,
going on right now. What was that like, and that transition to being here?
oh, sorry, it cut out for a second. That's why I interrupted you. Would you repeat that?
Yeah, what was that transition like to be here from where you were just a few years ago?
So before I started doing art full time, I was working in the footwear design industry. I did print and pattern for Converse sneakers. I actually did that for 7 years and was like the screen print, sublimation print aficionado, basically like the technical expert, and did a lot of the conceptual work and did really well there. But it left me with like almost no time for myself. So I started doing more of my artwork at night when I got home. Then I started taking days off here and there just to sit home and paint. But I didn't really have a real plan I was living in Boston at the time, which is where my parents are from. And my husband ended up getting a job out in LA, which is where I grew up, and asked, would you like to move to Los Angeles with me? And I said, hell yeah, absolutely. And the transition actually afforded me to quit my day job and pursue my art full time, which is something that I've always dreamed of. And being able to do that before I turned 30 was kind of unanticipated. So, but I had about year's notice before I left my day job. So I ended up taking a lot of small business courses, social media, seminars, really start working every night when I got home, trying to build my brand and my reputation, started submitting to galleries out in LA, so that I would already have some kind of, I don't know, just presence here before I got here. I really wanted to like come out of the gate running, and I think I did, but you know, there's a lot of adjusting. And when we moved here, we were living in like somebody else's house for a bit, so I couldn't set up my painting studio. And then we moved into like a really garbage apartment, and the whole thing was carpeted, so I was terrified of painting there. But I did get the opportunity to go out to shows and make friends, and started learning how to spray paint. And just, yeah, everything kind of started taking off. And now I'm working on a series of, let's say it's like between 16 and 20 paintings for 1X Run in Detroit, which has always been an aspirational partner for me. I've always wanted to work with them. I got to go check out their space probably 8 years ago and have been addicted to 1X Run ever since. Painting at Miami Art Week. I started going to Miami Art Week probably in 2012 or 13, and did not know how to do a mural, but became obsessed with the artists who were, and started learning about them and wanting to observe them. I would fly out from Boston just to watch mural artists paint out here, like James Jean and Tristan Eaton and Nichos. So yeah, it's so cool to know that I'm much closer to the person that I hoped I would be 5 years ago. You know, make an old Alison proud.
Wow. So what are some things that you learned in that process? Because it seems like you learned quite a bit, um, going from not doing this full time to now like making it full time and having that kind of ramp up period. What are some things that you've learned that you would like to maybe share with the community that would maybe like to incorporate maybe aspects of that in their own lives?
Sure. I'd say one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn, and it was kind of a hard lesson when I moved out to LA and really got involved in the art scene, was I didn't know how to make new friends. And I came across probably kind of fake, just over enthusiastic, trying way too hard to make connections, saying other people's names, people that I knew. And those things to me now I realize don't matter. Nobody cares who you can name drop. It's not, it doesn't tell anybody anything about you. And people want to know you authentically and what your deal is, you know? So making friends in your 30s is hard when you haven't had to do that in a while. But yeah, leading with the real you and showing up and being kind and being genuine is going to take you so much farther than just saying, oh yeah, and I know them too. Oh yeah, I know them. And oh, I was there at this thing and this event. And it's just, that's just chatter. It's not connection. So I definitely look to make meaningful connections in anything that revolves around my life or my art. You don't have to have a meaningful connection with the person at the DMV or the post office, but if it's your career and your friends and your family, that's where you really should just be you. And maybe you're not for everybody. Maybe people aren't going to love your personality. Maybe they're not going to vibe with you, and that's okay. I mean, I meet probably hundreds, if not thousands, of new people a year, and we're not all going to figure each other out or vibe perfectly or whatever. But as long as they know who I am and I'm just being me, they can at least get a sense of what my jam is. And that's much better than just getting some kind of plastic, oh, okay, another artist from LA. But I don't want that, you know? There's plenty of those already.
So what does that mean to you as putting that part of yourself out there? Like, how did you discover what that part is and what parts of that you'd like to share and how to share that with others?
Well, I think I kind of got a reality check from a close friend before we were close friends, before we were even friends at all. He kind of let me know, like, I really didn't like you when I met you. I didn't, I didn't get it. And I was like, man, I'm going through a hard time moving and starting over. And I was going through some family problems at the time. And he's like, yeah, but I don't care. Like, if I can't make an assessment on you if you're not anything that I like or you're anything about you. Like, he's like, I just didn't know you. So, but you were off putting in how weird you were. So I'm like, okay, trying to be less weird. I'm still very weird around like famous people or like what I consider famous people. Um, but I'm getting much better. So it's just hard when you've like built up these expectations of other people in your head and you got to like erase all of it. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter if you've seen somebody in a magazine. They're just a human. And it's going to be so much more fulfilling to talk to a human like a human instead of whatever their persona is. And I think I was very much putting my persona forward as opposed to just being me. And it's so much less exhausting to just be yourself, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not what other people expect of you. Like, I know now that my voice sounds like Ellen DeGeneres, and that's something that I have to live with every day of my life. But it doesn't mean I shouldn't talk to people. It's like, so what? Yeah, come as you are, and that's always going to be the best way to do it. At least that's what I've learned from disappointing a lot of people and being weird. Now I'm just Allison, and it's much easier, much simpler.
It sounds like you're differentiating between, yeah, yourself as like a human, your humanity, and the persona that you maybe have or people perceive you as. Can you describe that as like how you go about understanding yourself within the context of the personification, as well as kind of the humanity that you're talking about?
Sure. Um, I think kind of the easiest visual indicator of that for me is my artwork is really bright colors and super saturated saccharine color palettes. But a lot of the subject matter that I paint is a little bit darker or is addressing some kind of issue I've had in my life or with society or, you know, vibes that I'm trying to put out into the world that tell my story. But on the surface level, it just looks like super bright colored Lisa Frank craziness. So I'm always looking to tell a deeper story and have people dig a little bit deeper into what my life and my journey is through my art. So there are a lot of much deeper messages than just, you know, the rainbows and candy colors that I use. I mean, if you meet me in person, I typically wear like all black. Like I've always been like the goth kid in high school and very emotional. So I think it's okay to connect those two and give people the deeper story behind my works and not, it doesn't just have to be the commercial side. And on again, about the authenticity thing, the more people know about your work and the reality of the work that you make, the more appealing it is. So the more commercial success you're going to have anyway, because people want to share your story or they might relate or they might want to look at that piece in their house every day because they know the story behind it and because they connect to it. So that's kind of what I seek from other people enjoying my art, is to know that it's not just the bright candy colors. There's definitely a deeper story.
Maybe you could show us some of your work right now. I think you have.
I could. So I told you I'm working on this larger collection of paintings from 1X or for 1X Run. They're dropping next month for the holidays, but I have a couple on my desk. This is what I'm trapped doing. So here's one of them. It's like a rainbow eyeball jellyfish. Give some details. Little eyelashes. So that's a brand new one. No one's seen that yet, except for my husband and my cats. And now all of you guys. Then I'm very obsessed with fish and aquariums, so I have a little pufferfish butterfly guy. Do some details. And then,
do you want to tell us a little bit of something about it?
Yeah, so I did, here, I'll hold this one up while I do that. So I did a collection of paintings this past summer with 1X Run called, I called them Beebs, just as a little, I don't know, I've always called animals like sweet little Beebs or things like that. So Beebs is kind of this overarching just name for characters and creatures and monsters and cute things. So I'm doing Beebs 2.0, my second drop of Beebs. And the first collection that I did, they were animals mixed with like foods and plants. And this collection, I'm doing animals mixed with other animals. And I'm having a lot of fun with it because I really love like nature photography, and I'm obsessed with so many different nature accounts, and I love going to the zoo and the aquarium and taking my own reference photos. I have an aquarium in my studio with little shrimps in it, and I'm obsessed with them. So I love animals, and my husband's a biologist. So we're both like on board with watching animal shows and nature shows, things like that. So being able to kind of hybridize, like, I forget what like make like chimeras of all these different little weird creatures. It's just very appealing. So I've also done characters mixed with like creatures from the book of demonology and, you know, like weird alchemical stuff. So I'm always looking for ways to kind of morph and twist and change characters to take them away from just being perfect or just being photorealistic or just being cute, and making them just a little bit different. So it's like a new perspective maybe people haven't seen, or I don't know, and injecting more color. Like I love cowfish and I love pufferfish. But if I just did an orange fish, okay, it would be an orange fish. But having this pop of color, I don't know, it's thrilling for me. It makes me happy to look at. But I think it also just gives it a little bit more whimsy, and I don't know, I hope nobody's ever seen a butterfly pufferfish before. Maybe that'll be the first one, you know?
So there seems to be a level of inventiveness with the animals that are created from the different combinations that you come up with.
Sorry?
It seems like there's like an interesting connection with like these different combinations of animals that you put together, or animals and other items.
Yeah, I actually, the way that I planned out this series and my last series was I made a list of all the animals that I've wanted to paint, like all the animals that I have pictures of in my phone that I've been obsessed with wanting to paint. And then I had another list of, like, for the first drop, it was foods and plants. And then I actually gave them all a letter like A through A, B, C, D, E, and then 1 through 26. And then I just did like a number generator thing online, and saw what those interesting combinations were, and kind of challenged myself, like, can I see what that looks like in my head? Like, what does a banana hamster look like? What does a watermelon anteater look like? Things like that. So I had a lot of fun with that challenge. And I've done the same thing with this series. So, but it was like a list of animals, other animals. And then I also made a category for kind of like features, like wings. And are they insect wings, or are they like feathered bird wings, like a macaw or something like that? Or how do I inject like more interest with plants? So like, do they have mushrooms growing out of their head, or do they have Venus flytraps for horns or something? Like, how can I kind of just keep twisting it and like make it weirder and a little weirder and weirder, and then dial it back whenever I feel like it. Um, but it's such a fun challenge. And I have an illustration degree, and so my background is in illustration, and I'm really good at fulfilling briefs. I did that for a very long time in my design job. So having these kind of little interesting challenges with these characters for me is like, okay, how would I fulfill this brief? Like, I'm I'm the one who made it, but what's the most successful way of approaching it? Like, I should look through my reference images. I should look at more inspiration. I should go back and see some of the color palettes I haven't used in a while, or what's my favorite color palette now. So then it's kind of just like A plus B plus C plus D equals butterfly pufferfish. And yeah, no, I'm having a blast with this series. So
Wow, that's really cool. So let's talk about how the different series that you're making connect with, because you're releasing some NFTs. I don't know, maybe you could share about your background with NFTs and how you got involved with your next groupings of NFTs that are coming out.
yeah, absolutely. And I see Samuel has some really good questions in the chat as well. So I started my journey with NFTs last year. Actually, I think last summer, I had a friend chit chat with me about them while we were traveling, and asked if I would be interested in just seeing what it was all about. I set up a meeting, and then hired an animator to animate some of my paintings, because I wanted to do something different than my regular flat paintings. And I've always wanted to see my work animated. So I thought, well, this seems kind of like a tech driven thing. And if it's going to live primarily on a screen, then I know as an artist that moving pictures tend to do better. At least that was my mindset then. So I had a couple of my paintings animated, and then I dropped with Nifty Gateway in December of last year. So I'm almost hitting my 1 year anniversary of dropping my first collection of NFTs. Um, since then, and that was received really well. And I ended up making a lot of new friends in the space. I was navigating it pretty much by myself before then, but I joined Clubhouse and kind of reactivated my Twitter. And now I'm part of an awesome collective of different artists and designers and folks, creative folks, called the Lowbrow Art Collective. So we've helped each other find opportunities and give each other advice and support, things like that, as we've been all navigating this brand new kind of market. Um, while I was beginning my NFT journey, I definitely always have an ear out for how people are feeling, and definitely noticed a lot of backlash against NFT art in general because of the like major energy consumption of blockchain technology. So I was like, well, I've been here at a pretty pivotal beginning point. So what can I do? How can I use my voice or my experience, which might only be 2 months longer than somebody else, to kind of like help steer the conversation or be involved more actively? So I actually took a few months off of minting anything else after my first drop. I think I took 4 months off, and just studied and listened and learned. I started studying other different blockchains like the Tezos blockchain, Cardano. There was one called Polkadot. And I just started like emailing these different companies and saying like, what is this? What is this all about? Can you tell me how this is different from minting on Ethereum? And I had to learn all of these kind of terms in advance and try not to look like an idiot, but everybody looks like an idiot when they're starting in this space. So it's okay to keep prying and keep learning as long as you're coming from, a place of wanting to understand. So I did help like encourage a lot of more people will like kind of, I even roll my eyes at the term eco-friendly blockchain, because there always is going to be, mass energy consumption, but there are still better alternatives. And when I started talking to Kyle Gordon, I realized that we had a lot in common, not just from us both minting on Nifty Gateway, but we had a lot of the same connections and a lot of the same kind of ideals about, well, why do we have to wait for Ethereum 2.0? Is there another solution now? And how, like, when I started learning about the social impact causes that Doing Good HQ supports, I really connected with that. I'm on my neighborhood council for like our arts section, and I do volunteer workshops all the time for either murals or for talking about my art with kids or going to schools or just talking about my career. I really value giving back whatever I can, whether it's donating or just giving advice, knowledge, whatever it is. I mean, I'll pick up a phone call with any random stranger at this point and still explain to them, okay, here's how you walk through your wallet, because I don't want them to learn from somebody who's going to compromise their shit because it's like a disaster and a very heartbreaking. But yeah, so I felt like I had a lot of the same kind of ideals that Kyle Gordon did. And my buddy Jason Oster from Gaba Gallery was kind of our go-between, one of my curators for my art shows. And yeah, when I started getting a sense of what they wanted to do and knowing that they wanted to use the Polygon side chain, something I'm already familiar with, something I already mint on, I started going, okay, hell yeah, there's like a new way forward every week in this space. And I think it's up to us as creators to bring our collectors along on this kind of journey. And like, yeah, everything is ever evolving. So why wouldn't we just keep moving toward an ideal that is closer to our, what we want as artists and what we want to offer to the world. And I mean, I definitely believe in NFTs. I think it would be so silly to keep the art market the exact same way it's always been, with galleries making a ton of money, artists never making any secondary sales, like never seeing the benefit of their work beyond the initial painting selling. And I mean, 2D paintings on a wall is great, it's what I love, but it's not what's going to engage every single person in art. And I think the more people we have engaged in talking and connecting in the art scene, like even if it's because they hate it, the more dialogue and the more conversation we have with more, diverse voices, I think the better off we're all going to be. So I'm excited to see what this collection with Doing Good is going to kind of bring to the table. And actually, so there were a couple of social impact causes that I wanted to work with for my Doing Good drop, because they do offer to, they pretty much demand that you give a share of your NFT sales to charity. I think it starts at like 5%, and you can go all the way up to 100. And I think that that's great, because there are plenty of blockchains that already, like, there are plenty of sites that you don't have to do that on. So it's nice to know that there's one. I really wanted to donate to Water Drop LA. which is a service that provides free water to unhoused people in LA. Something that I care about a lot. But they're not up with crypto yet, so I'll just keep donating with my money until they are. Another cause that also just isn't ready for crypto conversations yet is the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. And I've raised thousands of dollars for them over the years because they offer free counseling to assault survivors, free therapy, free counseling, free, education and services. So while I couldn't donate my sales from this drop specifically to them, I will just continue to do so. And I love talking about them. So the platform I did end up, or the nonprofit I did end up being able to work with for my drop coming up is the Bail Project. And I'm very much into like true crime and whatever. But that's also because like I grew up with like my dad in jail. I know how the jail system works. And I think cash bail is the stupidest thing on the planet, especially when there are people who've done atrocious things but have very wealthy connections and can just get bonded out anyway. But it's just, the one guy who, I don't know, stole a Snickers bar has to wait. And I just think the cash bail is stupid as a concept. And with all the protests the last couple of years, and I mean beyond, knowing, I don't know, it's just stupid. Like we gotta change our priorities with that. But until we do, I'm happy to donate a portion of my sales to the Bail Project because I think it's very important.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about how that works from the side of a creator and working with a platform, what you've experienced so far with the team?
Sure. So I was kind of just given the opportunity to let loose and pick which pieces of artwork I wanted to launch on the platform. So again, I hired an animator to kind of reinterpret some of my pieces. And then I've just been talking to Kyle and the team. I did a nice interview with them that was really, really fun. I've done a few of them, a lot of phone calls and just conversations and dialogue around like, what do they hope I get out of it? Like they've been very active and open with that. Like they're not just like, okay, thanks for the art, bye. They're like, okay, so like we're doing this. What do you think about this? And like the website's coming along. We can't wait to show you. Like they've been very, very interactive and kind of keeping me up to date with important milestones in the company's growth. And they don't have to do that, but I'm so glad that they are because they're leading with transparency. And as a creator, I get bum contracts all the time that are garbage. So not only do I know all the ins and outs of these contracts because it's been explained to me so thoroughly by Doing Good, not just here's a PDF, read it at your leisure, goodbye, but like I've been walked through it. And then, they've done like happy hours where you get to ask questions. They do them every week. And they give so many opportunities to ask and to give feedback and give critique because I think that they actually give a shit, which is refreshing in a space where there's a new NFT platform every day. And, I get some kind of just like canned garbage email. They're like, hello, creator. We see you have over 7,000 followers on Instagram. We'd love to invite you to our NFT platform, and then misspell my name or call me George or something in the email. So it's refreshing to actually have human conversations with the Doing Good team and to be able to offer my take, my opinion, whether they take it or not. But it's, yeah, I think the more talking and the more informed a platform is on what creators need and what their collectors value, the better.
Can you talk about that relationship that you found between you as a creator and the collector and how you see that moving forward into this NFT platform and these new ways working with um, collectors and you as artists and having that social good aspect to like bring it together. Like, what are those different ways that you see those all of those parts working together into the future?
Well, I think there's a there's a connection to a collector and an artist because the collector either just aesthetically likes the artist's work, or they like the aesthetic, they like their vision of how their brand appears, or what they believe in. And um like, I like plenty of art just because it's pretty, but the art that I really invest in is in artists that I really connect to, whether it's because of um, learning about them from social media, or like hearing which causes they share. Like, one of my favorite artists, who's actually also on the Doing Good roster, is Lauren Youngsmith, or Lauren YS Squid Liquor, because they put their money where their mouth is, with activism, and starting up a nonprofit called Polar Tropica, where, oh, wait, no, Squid Tropica. Polar Tropica is their partner. Um, Squid Tropica, where they share queer BIPOC artists, and um, seeing somebody like that who is so influential on me, and inspires me to keep working on like work social issues, and considering them, and understanding that there's still marginalized people in the rest of the world, and I'm not in my own little bubble. Not that it's their, you know what I'm saying, it's not their responsibility to do that, but it's a good reminder. And so being surrounded by people who really champion causes that I care about reminds me that I got to do more. um, and I think also, the way that that connects back to collectors is the same thing I was talking about: authenticity. When you put your foot forward with authenticity and saying, this is what I care about, this is who I am, and this is what my art looks like. Um, People really relish having a story that they can connect to. And if they know that you're championing the same causes that they are, maybe they want to help you raise some money for a cause. Like, not everybody's going to want to do that. And for some companies, yeah, like a charity thing is just a cash grab. But I think because Doing Good is so selective about how they want you to choose a charity, I think that that gives collectors kind of another avenue to understand you and your work and your perspective. So they, like, my collectors might not know that I care about the Bail Project, but I do. Um, and now I get a way to kind of explain that to them, and maybe we connect on a way that we hadn't before, and maybe they like my work a little bit more, or maybe they're put off and they don't give a shit anymore. So it's like, but at least it's a conversation, and it's not just this synthetic transactionary kind of art sale. I think because of the rise of social media, and even like parasocial relationships, people really expect to learn more about creators online. They want to know your perspective. They want to know your opinion. Like, you can't, not everybody can just skate by making pretty pictures anymore. People really want to know what your values are. So I think in my learning to be more authentic and speaking about myself and my work, um, it's kind of a natural extension to want to talk about the causes I care about, and bring my collectors and my fans into my world, and why I care about those things. So yeah.
So maybe you could talk a little bit more about because your drop is coming right up, right? And maybe you could talk a little bit more about your connection to the Dale Project and why you believe, like how does it connect to you? I'm just curious because it seems like it does. It wasn't just a an afterthought.
Yeah. So my drop is coming up with Doing Good on December 16th. I believe, is my official drop date, which is 3 days after my 1 year anniversary of my first NFT drop. So that's like perfect serendipity. So I'm very excited. It's gonna be 3 new pieces. And they're all animated, and they're going to be available in different edition sizes, and price points, things like that. But the reason I care about the bail project is because I do believe that our jail and court system is really rigged against marginalized people. And the less money you have, the less rights you have. And I think that is just unbelievably like uncaring, that it's cruel to think that if you don't have money for representation, like even though they'll appoint someone to you, if you don't have money for good representation, if you don't have money to just get home for the night, even if you're kept under like a non-violent criminal offense or whatever, I think it's ridiculous that I mean, not to be like too topical, but like Kyle Rittenhouse getting bonded out, and then getting, you know, the best support and lawyers or whatever from celebrities. It's like, okay, if you don't have a celebrity in your corner, what do you have? Especially for like I don't know, like it's just so obvious and strange to me that we as a country are putting a price on people staying in jail or going home before they're indicted, before they're charged, you know, anything like that. I don't think we have the right to hold people, especially people who might not be aware of their rights or might not understand how to navigate the jail system, the court system. We don't put any emphasis on that, like in school or, you know, it's so unless you really know the laws, which many people don't, yeah, you're really at a disadvantage, and it typically affects marginalized folks more than anyone. So BIPOC folks, queer folks, sex workers, non-criminal or non-violent offenders, just, yeah, it's ridiculous. And then there are plenty of horrible people walking around every day who, you know, I don't know, like it's just the parallels are ridiculous. I don't get it. So I think until we figure out a better way as society and pass better laws to protect people, the bail project is a great way to make sure that we're serving people who maybe just need the leg up or need some help. I mean, as well as like unhoused people who are jailed constantly for loitering or whatever, you know, like garbage. So yeah, that's another reason why I care about that. And also, you know, knowing how many protesters were out there and got arrested the last couple of years, specifically, especially last year, for speaking out and for like not letting it, just not taking bullshit. Like protest is a right. So, and we've all seen plenty of videos where we know that like a lot of protesters were not violent and they were still jailed anyway. So for unlawful assembly, whatever that means. But I'm just kidding. I don't know. So that's where I learned more about it, was realizing just how much people were amplifying the bail project last year during the protests. And yeah, I really connected with it for that, realizing just how much it affects people to not have bond or bail.
And you also have some personal connection to the issue. You don't have to talk about it. I'm just opening it up for you.
Sure. I mean, I do have family in law enforcement on one side of my family. I also have firefighters in my family. And I won't go into it too deep, but my dad did spend part of my childhood in jail. And it's, yeah. Money is a major issue, especially for criminals. And like seeing people struggle with different addictions in my life, growing up around halfway houses, seeing and knowing addicts and being friends with them, you know, having dated addicts, stuff like that. Like drug addiction is a crazy thing to go through, or alcohol addiction, and knowing you can be put in jail for that when it's obviously like a sickness and not, um, I don't know, it's an illness, and we just throw people in jail for that too, and then they get to go through withdrawal in jail. I think that is just so cruel and ridiculous. So that's my kind of personal experience with that. I would never hope to see anybody I know go through that. But yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So, how has that influenced your art making in the past and present?
Well, I'd say my art is very much like a visual biography of my life and my experiences and what I've gone through. And I'm in a really happy, positive time in my life right now. So maybe a lot of my subject matter is a little bit lighter, but I've definitely like depicted some of my personal struggles through my physical paintings, like dealing with my dad, or I was anorexic for a while, for about 15 years. So I've finally started finding ways to express that journey, however difficult, through some of my paintings. But also just like about my childhood nostalgia, or my family, or how much I love my husband and my cats and my little pet shrimp. So it is all a very much like storytelling about um, of me. Um, but like, I lost my train of thought completely. I'm trying to think. Oh, so yeah, basically I'm always learning how to communicate my story and my feelings in a way that connects to other people through my paintings, because I want people to feel less alone. And you know, from going through pretty terrible, tragic things in my life, or struggling with an eating disorder, things like that, I know that I'm not the only one. But it doesn't mean that all of my artwork is like dark or violent or whatever, even though that's, you know, definitely a pathway for it. Um, I don't know. I like making colorful, happy paintings. And I think you can live with a lot of tragedy and loss and struggle and still find the brighter side. And I don't know, art makes me happy. It's made me happy since I was 5 and I started drawing. So it's always been my kind of therapy to paint and draw and work out my issues through my drawings and my paintings.
Could you maybe speak a little bit about how you see going? It seems like your work speaks to something of where you want to be, about the headspace that you want to be, that it's not just a where you've been, that it's a moving forward, that there's a movement forward into a headspace where you want to go. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that journey to finding um, the headspace and the art making practice of how you want to feel, of how you want to share with others?
Yeah, I think one of the pivotal changes in my career was definitely moving across the country back to my home state of California, to LA, because I wasn't just making art miserably alone in the evenings after my day job anymore. I was really kind of like thrust out into the community and started going to, like, you know, events where I could watch people paint graffiti, or just art shows, there were, you know, bountiful art shows. It's like 10 a weekend that I'd love to go to almost every weekend. So having these kind of opportunities to meet like-minded people and make connections and make friends, like make true, real friends, really changed it changed my direction, because before I was really just creating artwork to kind of soothe my soul, like a balm on my soul, where now I felt like this kind of energy of like, I want to contribute something too. I want to be out there too. I want to be where my friends are and doing what they are. So I got to do a lot of like pop-up events and doing like workshops for kids and for families, and being able to share my art in a way that wasn't so kind of self-satisfying, but was more about like celebrating the art community in LA. And I think I still really thrive off of that. And when I'm feeling like a little bit lost or a little bit confused or whatever, I know I have so many people to reach out to, so many artists who are going through the same thing. I mean, so many of us have struggled during the pandemic because of, you know, everybody kind of tightening their purse strings and, you know, suffering in art is a luxury good at times, you know. It's just, I think having such a strong community physically and online too with my lowbrow art community, I have never feel as kind of like depressed, or I never feel like I'm in a hole that I can't dig myself out of, because I have so many strong friendships. So, and I love my husband too, and my family is really tight, and I I feel like I can embrace that so much more um, because of being where I am. I just feel so energized by it. So, like, yeah, moving back to my home state was definitely like one of the best moves I could have made. Like, I feel just so engaged and interested in doing more and learning more and volunteering more, and you know, getting to paint elementary schools for kids, and like there's so much that I find fun now that is like hard labor that I don't think I would have thought of years ago. But now I just can't wait to get to the next wall and, you know, talk to a class, or I don't know, yeah, whatever, chit chat on the phone with somebody about NFTs, whatever it is that I can contribute. I feel like I have so much more bandwidth now than I used to.
So it sounds like there's something in the connections that you've built that it's, you're doing you're doing good, and you're also to bring it back. But it sounds like you're it sounds like you're doing something with the connections, that there's a connectiveness, and you're also doing something that you love doing in there that allows you to move forward, and that you've moved from places that maybe weren't where you wanted to be, um, and then you found your way to a better place.
Yeah, I think I always hoped that if I ever made it back west, that I would kind of cheer up, like cheer the fuck up. And thankfully I did. But, you know, also like therapy helps, exercise helps, fresh air. And yeah, really, really good friends and friendships and community. I feel like I'm in a really good place right now. And it makes it easier for me to talk about the times when I maybe wasn't in as good of a place, because I'm not so clouded with depression that I can actually say what I'm trying to say, and maybe say it in a way that other people connect to also. So I'm really grateful for all of that.
So the decloudedness, through the exercise, the therapy, the friends, that helps. That seems to have helped you found clarity, and a little bit more clarity in your life.
Oh, definitely. I mean, all of those things are so critical for just humans and human survival. Like when you're missing one of those things, when you're missing taking care of yourself either physically or emotionally, or you know, having connections to other people, or you can't find peace, I mean, it sucks. Like I was in therapy for years and years from my eating disorder. I had PTSD from an assault. Like I couldn't, I, there was at least like 6 months or something before I moved back to LA where I couldn't bring myself to smile. I remember just like trying to force myself to just look anything but miserable. And, you know, everybody goes through their own rough patches. And I want people to not feel alone about that. Like, I'm really happy right now. I'm very optimistic and really excited for every day. But it wasn't always like that. And I think sometimes people just see the good parts and not the like the whole story. So I'm always kind of hoping to share the like the whole thing about me and not just the pretty artwork, the little, you know, rainbow fishies or whatever, because it's not always rainbow fishies. There was a time where when I started in therapy, all of the backgrounds of all of my paintings, and I barely made any paintings, they were all black. And black scratches very easily with acrylic wash, so I don't do black paintings anymore. Um, but it was because I couldn't get myself out of that headspace, and that was very much a visual indicator of me being stuck and me being really, really depressed. So, and yeah, I think my art kind of ebbs and flows with um, my growth as an adult, and you know, my color palette changes accordingly. And right now, everything is like as vibrant as possible because I'm feeling really good. And yeah, I guess that's a pretty transparent thing about me. It's funny.
What would you like people to know who are out there? Like, what part of your story do you feel like you would like people to know about or understand a little bit more before we wrap this up?
I think, if anything, I want people to know that like there's always a way out. Like I went through a very, very difficult time in my life, and like for most of my life, like um, having my dad in jail when I was a kid, and then like having my parents to be divorced and living through earthquakes and robberies, and then being like kind of shoehorned across the country when I was 12, you know, like um, dealing with assault, dealing with an eating disorder, depression. I had multiple concussions at one point that like scrambled my brain, and my family is going through more issues right now. But all of that has just been kind of a fortifier for how much I value my life and how much I think I deserve to be here, regardless of how fucked up my past is. And I want other people to value themselves just as much, because even if things are the absolute worst, like just hang on, like, and reach out and talk to people. And I mean, there's always tomorrow, so just hang in there. Like, I don't know, I know that sounds kind of like desperate and like sad to think about that way, but it's more like if I had known during the darkest horrible times just how happy I am now, and just how like thrilled and excited I am for tomorrow, it would have been easier to get through those times for sure, because I would have known. But you just never know how good it can be. Yeah, I'm really grateful every day. I'm really blessed, and yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to get painting after this conversation, even though I brought up like childhood trauma. Like I said, I wouldn't. So funny.
If someone's going through a difficult time, like you mentioned, who happens to be watching this, whenever now is, whenever here now is, uh, what would you like to share with them?
I would like to share that there are definitely free resources, if you Google them, in your city that are willing to help you navigate whatever you're going through. Like I mentioned, the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center earlier. There are rape crisis centers and shelters and things like that that just offer counseling. Um, I also say, like, hands down, there is no shame in calling the suicide hotline ever. Even if you're not feeling suicidal, but you feel desperate, um, that is totally an option, and there's no shame in that. I've done it. So,
Thank you so much for being here and sharing so much. Really,
oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
sure. Where can everybody find you online? Like, what are all the handles as of right now that
Sure.
people can find you at? Spell it out for us.
All right. So you can find me on Instagram at Alison Bamcat with 2 L's. Same handle on Twitter. Um, I do have a link tray at alisonbamcat.xyz that has all of my information about my online shop, my website, my NFT collections. My website is bamcatart.com. My shop is bamcatshop.com. And you can also find me on Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces. I'm chit-chatting in there all the time. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to my Doing Good drop on December 16th. Three new pieces. Never seen before.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
Oh,
so
and
much.
one last
Mhm.
place is I'm really interactive with the lowbrow art community. So if you go to lowbrow.info, you can join our Discord, and I have a little channel in there, and we have so much help with getting you either involved in NFTs or just sharing your art or memes, whatever you want. Like, we've got it all. A lot of good folks.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So for everybody out there, I'm Aaron Jack, Aaron Jack Line Art over on Twitter at I'm Aaron Jack One. Um, so reach out. I've got a whole series of the artist to art on the Aaron Jack Show, continuing here on the Doing Good HT platform and wherever you find this here now. So thank you so much for joining us, Alison. Do you have any last words for us? Anything that you'd like to share from your heart that the world needs to hear right
Just do your best through the holidays this year. It's still a weird time in the world. And yeah, cling to your family and your friends as much as you can, because we're still in a weird time to be alive. So I guess, yeah.
now? To say the least. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching here. Watching here now, watching. And thank you so much to Doing Good HQ for making this episode possible. Thank you so much to Alison for being here and sharing so much with us. And make sure to follow all the follows everywhere because that really helps to follow and share uh, what we do here and do some good in the world. Go out there, do some good. We'll catch you soon next week. I'm Aaron Jack. See you then.